What's good, YouTube? This is Boxingwave, and this will be my last breakdown for the Riyadh season card coming up this weekend with Terrence Crawford and Israel Madrimov. So if you haven't checked them out already, watch my other breakdowns. They're all there. I did in the last 2 days. I've been doing nothing but breakdowns. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to all the new supporters of the channel. And I will be here this Saturday to cover the fight live. All right, so be here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when I go live. All right. So this is the last fight that I will be doing a breakdown for. Cruz against Jose Valenzuela, and I think this is the only fight on this card. And I do think we're gonna get some upsets. I think we're gonna get some knockouts, but I think this is the only fight that I guarantee a knockout. I just don't think there's any way that this fight can go to points. I just don't think so. All right, just because of the styles. Both of these got power. Both of these guys got power. Both of these guys are gonna go straight at each other in the beginning of the fight, and I just think there's no way that this is gonna go a full 12 rounds. This is a championship fight at 140, which is ridiculous because the WBA is just letting like random guys from the PBC from 135 move up to fight with this title. The last true champion at 140 that had the WBA super title was Alberto Puello. Okay, he's a legitimate 140 pounder. He popped dirty after his win. All right, and he, you know, the title was stripped from him. So it gave Rolly Romero, who at the time was a fighter at 135, coming off of a knockout loss against Tank, gave him the opportunity to move up, fight Ismael Barroso, somehow, some way, get a bullshit stoppage win in that fight, which made him WBA champion at 140. Okay, he went on to fight Cruz in his last fight and got stopped by Cruz. But Cruz was another fighter that moved up from 135, had no business being up at 140, to challenge for that title. And then now that Cruz is champion, he is now defending it for the first time against RAYO Jose Valenzuela, who is another fighter that has no business fighting for a title, and he's from 135 as well. And the only reason why I have a problem with this is because there's so many fighters at 140 that deserve a title shot. You know, so I don't know who's ranked and part of the sanctioning body and stuff, but it's just ridiculous how guys from 135 that have no business or no history of being at 140 moving up in this continuously challenge for this title. It's ridiculous, all right? But the fight itself is not a bad fight. It's actually a very good fight, and I think the styles match up very, very well, all right, in this fight. So let's get on with the two fighters and speak on their strengths and their weaknesses. All right, let's start out with the champ. Cruz. 26 wins with 18 knockouts, 2 losses, and 1 draw. But he's been on a good run. He was a replacement fighter when Rolly Romero pulled out of the Tank fight the first time where they were scheduled to fight. And he actually is like one of the only opponents to ever go the distance with Tank Davis. All right, actually gave him a very tough fight. And a lot of people feel that Cruz did enough to win. You know, I thought it was very, very close, but I think Tank still barely edged the fight. You know, maybe like 7 rounds to 5. All right, but he's been on a good run there since then. You know, he knocked out Giovanni, or he beat Giovanni Cabrera, you know, which was, he won the fight, but it could have gone either way. He knocked out Rolly Romero. He beat Eduardo Ramirez. He beat Yuriokis Gamboa, who's way, 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 way past it. So he's got a nice little run since then. I think he's been waiting for his shot to get against Tank in a rematch. But, you know, Tank has been fighting other people since. You know, as much as I thought that he would get the rematch. And I still think he would, or he could at some point. He just hasn't gotten it yet. I mean, he hasn't been fighting the very, very other best, the other champions at 135. Because I have to just talk about 135 because all these fighters, he's a champion at 140, but all these fighters that's fighting for this title is from 135. So we're going to keep it 135 here. All right. But like I said, 26 years old, only 5'4". 5'4", short reach. But he's pitbull. He fights like Mike Tyson, you know, that peekaboo style. You know, he ain't Mike, but he has a similar style, and even though he's short and he's even much shorter than Tank, he's the only guy I've seen that Tank was even much taller than. One thing about Cruz is that he knows how to get low. That's his style. So he likes to drop when he feints. He likes to drop step and dunk underneath you and get low, dash towards you, and throw nothing but power shots, bombs. I mean, overhand rights, overhand lefts, hooks. Sweeping shots, very wide hooks. That's his thing. Yes, he'll set things up with a jab from time to time. He'll stab you to the body here and there. But he's a guy that has that peekaboo style, and he likes to come straight forward with his head down and tucked, and he just comes straight in. But the thing is, he bends his knees and he likes to shift his upper body so he doesn't actually. He fights like Ippo from the anime, the Fighting Spirit. Ippo, you guys know the anime, all right? He fights like that guy. All right, so that's his style. And in my opinion, I think it's very effective, and I think it's dangerous for everyone. I know how there's certain fighters that's been successful against him. All right, but I think with time goes on, I think he's becoming better with his style. I think he's becoming more difficult to beat. And I just don't think anyone, I think he's beatable, but I don't think anyone beats him easily. I think everyone is going to have a hard time against him. It doesn't matter who it is, even if it's Tank in a rematch, even if it was a Shakur Stevenson or William Cepeda. I don't think anyone is going to beat him with ease, okay? Because with his style, yes, he's there to get hit, but there's a science to the madness. A lot of guys are hitting him at the top of the head, because it's always tucked. And he's always, his head is always low. And yes, there are opportunities where his opponents can land and set him up with a good uppercut, right? But you got to be careful, because even if you catch him, most likely you're not going to catch him 2 times in a row because he's going to move and keep his head off the line, all right? Even when his head is tucked, he's going to shift to the left or right a little bit slightly so he can load up on that overhand left or overhand right counter. And he has great counter puncher ability. He has good timing. And for tall guys, which everyone is tall against them, but tall guys is very troubling for them. All right. Weakness is he's coming straight at you, so you know what he's going to do. So certain fighters, even if they didn't beat him, they had some success because they just knew how to time him, and they knew how to get away from the shots because it's the same setup every time. He might change the punch or whatever, but what he's going to do. He's coming straight in every single time. So depending on who you are and how you fight, Tank did it one way. Tank used a lot of lateral movement. He stepped around him a lot. He has the reflexes. He had the jab. He used the jab to, and then he was just probing it a little bit, keeping this, touching him and keeping him at bay. And he would just not just lean straight back, but he would step around Cruz, all right, and time him with shots. A lot more pot shotting when it came to Tank, not just combinations like that, because we know that Isak does little tricky things, fights out of a high guard too sometimes, but a lot of times it's a trap. See the Rolly Romero fight, if you watch in the first round, Rolly would try to use that jab to keep the distance, but when Rolly threw a right hand, tried to step in and lunged in a little bit, overextended a little bit, that's when he got caught and clipped with the hook. He got caught with that high guard trap there. And that's one of the best, weapons that Isak Cruz does. Okay, so you can't sleep on him. I think there is a science to the madness. I don't think that he's just some short Mexican Tyson look-alike, style imitator or anything like that. I think what he does is actually effective. But I think certain fighters have different ways to where they had some success. Even in the common opponent that he has with RAYO, Valenzuela, who is Francisco Vargas, all right, former champion at super featherweight. They both fought each other, fought Vargas back to back. Okay, but Cruz fought him first and went the distance. And if you watch that fight, I actually went back and watched a little bit of that fight. You would notice that Vargas would catch him with uppercuts, use his jab, but anytime he threw a punch, he had his hands back up to guard whatever hook, whatever sweeping hook that Cruz would throw. So he wasn't catching the full effect of the punches. And plus, he kept moving. He kept circling around Cruz. Even one of Cruz's most recent opponents, Giovanni Cabrera, not a big puncher. I believe he was a southpaw. All right, but he was using, not doing a lot of power, but it was the timing. It was the movement. It was the timing, catching them and keeping it moving. But I think Cabrera, he was actually getting hit, but Cabrera was doing a very good job of not taking the full impact of the punches because he kept turning with the punches. And in a couple of my breakdowns this week, I was speaking on, Gerald Miller, how he's a big guy coming forward, but he's turning a lot of punches. A lot of punches, he's not getting the full impact of the punch. Same with, Martin McCauley is going to be on this card as well. I was bringing that up in his video. Like he's very upright, but he was turning the punches. And I think that's why Cabrera did so well in that fight, because he was getting hit, but he wasn't getting hit that clean because he was turning with the punches. So certain fighters are going to have some success in Isaac Cruz, but it's very, very hard. It's very difficult to not get hit by him, especially when you exchange with him and you trade with him, or if you throw combinations, because whatever punch you throw, you have to expect something hard and heavy to get thrown right back at you. All right. So let's talk about Jose Valenzuela. He's 26 years old, 13 wins, 9 knockouts with 2 losses. All right, one loss was to De Los Santos not too long ago. This is when he was a big time prospect. De Los Santos was a little bit unknown, and De Los Santos stopped him in a phenomenal 3 or 4 round war. Okay, what was it? How many rounds? It was only a 3-round fight. Okay, yeah. So I remember, Ryu did drop him in like the second round or something, but Edwin dropped him right after that even harder and ended up stopping him in the very next round. Okay, and then he went on to fight Chris Colbert, where he had a very disputable loss to Chris Colbert in their first fight. All right, I do think Ryu did enough to edge it. I think he did enough to win, but if it was a draw, I wouldn't have had a problem with it, because Ryo did get a knockdown in that fight against Chris, but Chris did finish stronger in the second half and won the second half of the fight. But I don't think Chris did enough to win the fight, to actually win the fight. No, I think that Ryo still did more than enough to edge it. But he went and avenged that loss to Chris Colbert in the rematch and ended up scoring one of the best knockouts of 2023. Okay, I'm sure you all seen it. So now here we are with Jose fighting at this division for a title. Now, Jose is a lot taller. He's 5'10". Right? So longer, southpaw, taller, and longer reach. All right? But with that being said, I believe Jose Valenzuela to be a slugger. If you watch his fights when he was a prospect and he was coming up in the game outside of a few, the earlier fights, he was going straight at dudes, right after the bell. He's in there to knock you out quick. He was fighting like how Edgar Berlanga was fighting at the very beginning when he was getting like those 16 knockouts in a row. So he looked like a slugger, you could call him a boxer puncher, but I think he's a straight up slugger. I think he resorts to boxing and trying to be technical and using distance and stuff when he's forced to, like in the De Los Santos fight or like the Chris Colbert fight, but he's in there to be rude and mean and to get you out of there quickly, and I think that's the way he should be. I don't think he's like that good of a boxer because his defense is terrible. Let's just be real. The defense is the poorest defense out there. because he's very tall, but he's standing straight up. He's very upright. And even when he's trading and exchanging, when he's in close range, mid range, and he's trading, he's standing straight up. He's not moving his upper body. He's not bending that much. He's very upright. He's very tall, but easy to hit. And not only that, but his hands are not high a lot, And then when he is fighting out of a high guard, it's not an active one. All right. So fighters like De Los Santos or Chris Colbert in the first fight were taking advantage of the moments when he was fighting out of the high guard by hitting him on every opening available, to the body, from the sides, through the middle. They were hitting him all over the place and they were connected. But the thing is, with Jose, he's not good at turning the punches. He doesn't have the defensive reflexes to get out of the way. All he does is lean back from long range. He'll lean back or take a quick step back, but he doesn't have the reflexes to slip the punches like that. He just doesn't. He doesn't. And he doesn't turn the punches well neither. And I was speaking about Cabrera earlier, but Jose, he takes the full impact of every punch that lands. And this is why he's taken so much punishment in that De Los Santos fight, and also in that Chris Colbert. It's like whenever De Los Santos landed, he landed clean. And Jose's head was getting rocked back and forth, side to side. Like a bobblehead that's in a car. You know what I mean? So with that being said, he's there to get hit. But the trade-off is the punching power is real. The punching power is top notch. He is a very dangerous puncher, and he's going to take the risk on trying to knock you out. And I don't think that's going to change. I don't know what the game plan is for him. I don't know if he's going to try to move and try to stay and keep this distance, but he's not going to be able to do it that long. He's not that good at it. I think Tank did a good job at moving. I think Vargas did a good job at moving. I even think this guy Cabrera did a good job at moving. I don't see Jose being that guy. I don't think he's that light on his feet to keep moving like that. And I don't think that's his style. He likes to get busy. He likes to fight. He likes to get knockouts. I think Jose is going to come into this fight trying to score a knockout. I think he's going to try to time the uppercut. But those are the instances where he's going to be in danger. Now, let's go and shift this on how I see this fight going. This is going to be a war from the upper and bell. I mean, in the very first round, we're going to see action. I think Jose, again, is going to try to show a little respect and be a little bit defensive, responsible, but I don't think it's going to work. I think the first moment he gets clipped with a good shot, he's going to wake up. I just don't think it's going to go that way. And Jose does have the weapons. He has the uppercut. He has a hook. He can catch Isaac Cruz with a good shot. And Isaac Cruz got a phenomenal chin. He has a great chin. But Jose is a puncher. And you best believe if he catches Isaac Cruz with an uppercut as he's coming straight in, if he's able to slip and time it and catch him with a clean one, best believe he has the power to knock Isaac Cruz down, because he's not going to do it and try to run after. See, Tank, he would connect with a shot and then move. He'll slide off real quick. He wasn't sitting down on the punches. This is why he didn't get the knockout, because he wasn't saying he was looking to be light. He wasn't putting that. His feet wasn't planted to the floor. He wasn't putting that much leverage in the punches. He was just trying to connect with the punches. Jose is going to try to put leverage in that punch, but defensively, it's going to leave him open to get caught with a good counter. And I think between the two, even though Isaac Cruz is fighting someone that's dangerous, I actually think Isaac Cruz defense is way better than Jose's. And I think Jose's height is going to be a problem for him in this fight, because Isaac Cruz, all he does is fight taller guys, and he swings with overhand rights and lefts in his combination. That's what he does. He knows how to close distance very, very quickly. And being that Jose is not much of a mover, I don't think he's going to have that much of a problem getting it done. You know, Jose has a decent jab. It's decent, but it's not great. And even that jab can be countered. Why? Because Jose drops his lead hand after throwing it every time. Even if he's fighting with a high guard, he throws it and drops it every single time. Leaves himself open for more counterpunching opportunities. And if they happen to exchange, he's going to be standing there upright, swinging. And that's where he can also get hit and hurt. I have Isaac Cruz knocking him out. I think Jose has a chance of knocking him out as well. I did not check. I know Isaac Cruz is a favorite to win. But I don't believe the round options are available for this fight. At least not on DraftKings or FanDuel, which is what I use. You know, but I personally think if Isaac Cruz can get a knockout win, or I think it'll be within 6 rounds. You know what? You for both. Hedge it. I don't think this goes past 6 rounds. I don't think this past. I actually think Rolly has better defense than Jose Valenzuela, because at least Rolly was trying to move and he was stepping around. I just don't see Valenzuela moving as good. It's even Rolly in that fight. But I do think Valenzuela is more powerful than Rolly. I think he hits harder. I think he's a much more dangerous puncher than Rolly Romero. All right. So anyway, look, I got Isaac Cruz winning this one by knockout. But whoever wins this fight, it'll be by knockout. But I'm putting my money on Cruz to win by knockout when it becomes available. All right. Anyway, last breakdown. Thank you everybody for watching the videos. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys Saturday on Fight Night. Peace.